Good morning or afternoon, depending on what time of day you listen to this. My name is Mark Crossley-May. I am one of the BDMs here at the Exeter. Today I'm going to talk to you about income protection and specifically our contracts that we offer through that channel. Just before we continue into the webinar, which will, by the way, last around about half an hour, I just want to make sure that you're aware of who the Exeter are and how long we've been running. A lot of people don't know, but the Exeter has actually been running since 1888. Before the Exeter, we were called Pioneer. So some of you may remember us back in the Pioneer days. So I think it's important that you know that we have been around for a long time and that we are financially strong. If you do require a bit more meat on the bones as to who we are, then we can provide you with this type of material via email, or you can go online and source that yourself. But anyway, I'm conscious that you guys are busy, so let's crack on. Like I said, it should only take about half an hour to go through this. And of course, any questions, do feel free to follow up. I'll give you the contact details at the end. So, without further ado, let's move on. So just to give you a breakdown of what we're going to cover today, we'll have a look at the actual products, kind of a loose overview in terms of how they differ from one another. We'll look at the actual features and benefits. We'll then cover across the websites, so where you can get that really useful literature, how you can go about quoting and applying. We'll go through underwriting and how it's a bit different from some of our more mainstream competitors. We'll go through some claim stats, which really kind of help you put a bit more meat on the bones. And then it says questions and answers, but that's going to be a little bit difficult given this is a pre-recorded webinar. But again, I'll make sure that you guys are furnished with contact details at the end, so that, of course, any questions that you guys do have, do feel free to ring through and speak to your BDM or myself, and we'll be happy to help. So, product overview. So we quite simply have two plans. We have one called Income One Plus, and we have one called Pure Protection Plus. So Income One Plus is for people like you and I, white collar workers, class 1 occupation. So you name it, accountants, people who work in offices, admin managers, financial advisors, contractors. Anybody that falls out of that will simply be on pure protection, providing it's not one of the excluded occupations, which we'll touch on later. So that's going to be a lot of people, isn't it? Builders, mechanics, teachers, scaffolders, doctors, believe it or not, because doctors, although obviously very professional, they're not class 1 occupations. So you name it. Pure protection is great because essentially it covers occupations that some insurers might not be so keen on covering. For example, if your client works above 40 feet in the air, some of our competitors may get a little bit nervous about that, whereas we're essentially not too fussed about that whatsoever. And with pure protection, it's one rate for all occupations. So it doesn't matter whether you've got a milkman or somebody hanging out of a tree with a chainsaw, a tree surgeon. It's one rate for all occupations. And the same goes for Income One Plus. In terms of the actual differences between the plan, they're very similar. You've got the same deferred periods, which range from day one all the way through to a year. So that's 1 week, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 13, 26, or 52-week deferred periods. The retirement ages are the same, anywhere between 50 and 70. To cut to the chase, Income One is just priced even more competitively. I mean, pure protection is very competitive, but Income One is priced more competitively because it's a lower risk occupation. So it's that simple, really. Let's move on to the next slide. So we've already been through the waiting periods, which range from day one through to a year. In terms of the cover amount, it's the same. So we cover up to 60% of their annual taxable income. Benefit ranges from $500 all the way through to £10,000 per month. Its own occupation for life, forever. So you don't have to worry about that. We're not going to make them do a different job after a year, mid-claim. If they can't do their own job and they're suffering a financial loss and they've been signed off, in all probability, they've got themselves a claim. We'll cover off claim stats later on as well. So, waiver of premium. Some of our competitors have a separate waiver of premium where you've got to apply separately and you've got to pay for it separately, which is a pain in the neck. Ours is built in automatically, and essentially it just kicks in after the deferred period has passed automatically, so you don't have to think about that whatsoever. So that's nice and straightforward as well. You've got a choice of claim periods. So you can choose a 2-year, a 5-year, or a full-term claim plan. I mean, the 2-year has been around for a while, for a long, long time. I've been here for 11 years, and that's been around for a fair few years. Full-term is obviously very common. 5 years, on the other hand, you'll struggle to find any other income protection provider who offers a 5-year claim period. We do. So you've got a lot of options in that respect. Premiums. So with Income One, for people like you and I, the white collar plan, you've got 3 premium types to choose from. You've got a level guaranteed, an age costed guaranteed, and an age costed reviewable. So to simplify this in my mind, if it's got the word age costed in front of it, it's going to go up in line with their age, even the age costed guaranteed, because the guaranteed wording doesn't refer to the age-related increase, because there will be one. It relates to the rate table that you can use to track the future increases. So when you produce a quotation, which I'll show you how to do later on, you generate the PDF and you can scroll down and you can see the rate table and you can see what the increase will be every single year. Back in the day, you had to look in the back of the brochure and work it out with a calculator, and it was a pain in the neck. Now we produce your client's rate table, their personal rate table, every time you do a quote, and it's on page 3 of the PDF. So scroll down, have a look. That's also really good as well, because it also includes a cost over term figure on there as well, so you don't have to work that out. I'm not sure if it's mentioned later on in the slides, but I'll mention it now. You know, when we are going up against our competitors in terms of cost, and it's close between us and another competitor, I would encourage you to look at the cost over term to see the difference in price, because sometimes, you know, a lot of the times that I've done it, and I've actually looked at the cost over term, our premiums tend to go up quite steady in relation to some of our competitors, let's just put it that way. So do have a look at page 3 of the quote. So age costed guaranteed, we guarantee the rate table that you can look at to see what the increases are going to be. That means that your client has the reassurance of knowing that their rate table will not change until they retire. So that rate table is locked in. Age costed reviewable, the one in green, basically it comes out usually a little bit cheaper, but the rate table is reviewable, which means we could in theory change it 2 weeks after they've gone on risk, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years after they've gone on risk. It doesn't really happen. I think it's happened a few times since I've been at the Exeter. I don't really see much age costed reviewable, but it is there as an option, because usually for a couple of pounds more a month, age costed guaranteed is there. And again, you can lock in the premium, but those are the options that you have for pure protection. So with pure protection for your manual workers, you only have the choice between age costed guaranteed and age costed reviewable. You do not have the option to do a proper level guaranteed premium. The only plan that you can do that on is, again, Income One, which is for people like you and I, the white collar workers. So that's the third option that you get on Income One. You can do proper level guaranteed premiums, which basically means there is no rate table, because the premiums stay the same. They do not go up in line of age. The only time a level guaranteed premium would go up, of course, is if you choose to index link it with the retail price index, and then it'll go up by whatever the retail price index goes up by, which is usually 3 or 4%, but obviously that can change rapidly. Anyway, let's move on. So we've got some really good USPs here. I'd say one of the best things about the income protection contracts is the fact that we do a benefit fix option. So if you've got self-employed guys who you're looking to pitch income protection to, this is a no-brainer. Basically, we can fix up to 75% of your client's selected benefit. So basically, let's take a really simple example. Your client is a self-employed builder. He wants £2,000 a month. We can lock in up to £1,500 worth of benefit, basically, in advance. Usually, if you choose not to do this, we'll ask for a year's worth of financial evidence at the point of claim. So we'll just assess the claim normally, and don't forget we cover 60% of their annual taxable income. So we'll assess that at the point of claim. However, if you want to fix the benefit, again, we can lock in 75% of the client's selected benefit, but we require 2 years financial evidence. But you don't have to give us that straight away. So what you could do is you could tick the box at the point of application that says fixed benefit. You can get them on risk in the meantime, and we actually give you a whole year to get that evidence across to us. So don't forget, all we're asking for is an extra year's evidence. So a lot of your clients may already have this to hand, right? So you can fix 75% of the client's selected benefit. And the best thing about this, of course, is that it does not cost any extra. So the benefit fix option, as good as it is free. So moving on. So minimum benefit guarantee. Really simple. We can guarantee up to £1,000 of the client's benefit, basically in advance. So it's like the benefit fix. I don't see it as much. It also costs a little bit extra, but you can obviously at the point of quote, you can play around with that and add it on, and then you can see what the difference in price will be. You've also got a guaranteed insurability option, which basically means when your client is on risk, they can increase their benefit. They can increase the benefit by 20% or an extra £500 on top of an extra £500 per month benefit, whichever's lower. So that's 20% of their original benefit, by the way. So whichever turns out to be lower, we can automatically increase the benefit by that amount. So you can only do this in certain circumstances. You can do this every 3 years on the date of the policy anniversary, or in exceptional circumstances. So that's things like getting married, having a child, remortgaging, that type of stuff, basically. But it's a good option because obviously it saves you having to go through underwriting again in a sense. So those are the three options: minimum benefit guarantee, guaranteed insurability option, and of course, don't forget the benefit fix option, which is really good for self-employed. Just to maybe just cover off just slightly more about the benefit fix. So just to give you an idea of how that might work. So if you can fix £1,500, and going back to that example of having your client having £2,000 a month and you lock in £1,500, if you can do that, then you have the reassurance, and the client has the reassurance of knowing that £1,500 is locked in. So even, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the line, whatever, after you've got them on risk, 4 years down the line, they have a bad year financially, and then he gets depressed and he goes to the doctor and he gets signed off because he's depressed. Usually, if you hadn't fixed the benefit, then he's going to be underinsured, isn't he? Because his income is dropped. He hasn't told you. He hasn't told us. He goes to make a claim. Well, actually, your income's dropped. So there's a good chance he's going to be overinsured. If you fix the benefit, you've certainly nullified a lot of that risk by locking in up to 75% at the very least. So that's safe. So that's the benefit of that particular option, basically. So yeah. And that is a USP to us, in terms of no one, I don't believe, as of this morning, I don't believe anybody does it in that particular manner. So definitely take that away. Speaking of really good stuff, we have, in my opinion, one of the best apps out there. It's called Healthwise. It's available to anybody who is on risk of the Exeter. It's relatively new and it's super slick. I've used it many, many times already myself. It's across the board in terms of all the products that we offer. So income protection, private medical insurance, life insurance. So let's drill down and see what it actually does. So in a nutshell, what you get here is you get a GP on demand service. So you get 4 sessions with a private GP over the app. You can, by the way, this is all about convenience, isn't it, these days? People want it fast and they want it now. So you initiate this via an app. A few swipes of the app. You can choose the GP that you want. You can choose the date, the time slot that you want. You even get a biography of the GP that you're selecting and a picture of the GP. It's quite crazy, really. So you select that GP. The GP gives you a call. You get 4 sessions a year, and it's not like 111. I don't want to badmouth 111, of course. It's quite good. But if any of you have ever used 111, it's a little bit, it's hard work because ultimately they're using decision trees and process maps, and they're asking you questions that are irrelevant perhaps to the reason that you're ringing in. With a private GP service, you actually speaking to a real GP. So I've used it a lot. It's like having an appointment face to face. The only difference is you're either over the phone, or of course you can do this via FaceTime. So I've used that actually. I've actually used it quite a lot. I've used it for my children mainly because I'm a daddy and I'm a bit of a hypochondriac when it comes to my children, like most parents are. So long story short, my child had a rash on his arm. Being the hypochondriac that I am, it was a Saturday, I believe, so I had to take him to the drop-in centre. I'm sure many of you people have been to the drop-in centre before. It's not a pleasurable experience, is it? Let's face it. And it's usually a 2 or 3 hour wait. So I thought, I'm going to use the GP on demand service again, but this time I'm going to use it FaceTime. I'm going to see if I can get some type of reassurance. And basically, the GP on the other end of the phone said, "Don't worry about it. It's not what you think it is. The consistency, the colour, the texture, by the looks of it, don't worry about it." And that put my mind at rest. And that saved half a day on a Saturday, which essentially is 25% of my weekend. I got it back because it took, what, half an hour? So that is good. And that's, if you talk to your clients about it in that particular sense, then yeah, you get that. That's one of the features on HealthWise. The second feature is a UK second medical opinion service, which is great. So basically, if you need that extra peace of mind and you're not totally satisfied with the diagnosis that you've been given initially, you can actually go and seek an alternative, go and speak to an alternative doctor or a different doctor, get a second opinion. And if they diagnose you with a different condition, they can actually set out a treatment path as well. So that is a great, great service to have on HealthWise. You also get 6 sessions of physiotherapy and mental health support. So we refer to these as e-treatments because they're all initiated via the app. And somebody said to me the other day, hang on a second, how can you have physiotherapy via an app? What are you going to do? Hold the phone up and twizzle your neck around a little bit and think, yeah, I don't know. It does work, actually. I've used it. I've done online physio. It does work, but it is not limited to that. And this is what a lot of people don't know. So you can initiate the physio, the e-treatment via the app or the mental health. But then, if it's deemed appropriate by that particular consultant that you're having the session with, it can actually lead to face-to-face treatment. So essentially, you can end up having personal face-to-face physiotherapy or mental health support, which is really good, especially when it's been bolstered onto an income protection plan. So again, I feel that really adds value to the contract. Really, it really does. Right then, so what I want to do here is show you where to get documentation, because we've got loads of stuff on our website which will come in really, really handy for you guys. But you need to see where it is, because I don't think a lot of people know about it. So basically, you want to go onto our website, www.the-exeter.com. When you're on there, you'll have some tabs at the top of the screen. You can see there it says health insurance, income protection, life cover, yada yada yada. What you needed to do is that you needed to say documentation, and it doesn't say it at the moment. And the only way you can do that is if you click on either start quote or advisor. Just click on one of them, and then you'll notice there you can see it. Documents has appeared. Click on documents, and down the left hand side you've got loads of stuff. Guides are okay, aren't they? You need them to pass on to the client or whatever, but the things that are really going to help you are sales material. You can see it at the bottom there. And if you're looking to increase income protection sales, or if you're looking to kind of win more business in that respect, I would urge you to look at the protection path. That's really, really good. Basically, what we can do for you is we can personalize sales aids, regarding income protection. There's about 13 or 14 different types of sales aids aimed at different people out there. Whether you've got clients who work in estate agents, accountancy firms, if you've got people, you've got clients who like to play rugby, we've got different sales aids aimed at different types of people. And what we do is we take your contact details and your logo, and we'll put them on the sales aids, and we'll actually remove our logo. So it's not about the Exeter, it's about you and about increasing your income protection business. We're here to help. That is totally another subject, though. It's probably something I shouldn't have really touched on too much here, because I could talk about it forever. So maybe it's worth writing down on a pad, and after this, again, feel free to bring one of us and we can go through it in a bit more detail, and we can help you. And you can go online and have a look at them, because there's loads. There's one called the Bank of Mum and Dad, which is aimed at young people. There's some aimed at renters, because we all know how underinsured renters are, or first-time buyers. So the opportunity is almost limitless. So anyway, that's where you go to get all that useful, good stuff in relation to not just income protection but life insurance as well. So in terms of going to do a quote, same areas. Go to the top of the page, click on start quote, click on advisor login, enter your details, If you haven't got login details, which you should do, again, give me a call or give one of the guys a call in the office. I'll give you the number at the end and we'll get that sorted for you. But anyway, pop in your details. And then you'll see here on the left-hand side, you have got all of the options. So you can do your quotes, you can look at existing quotes, you can see stored applications that are currently in the pipeline, policies that you've put on risk, your commission. There's a bunch of stuff that you can do on there. It's really, really good. So anyway, get back to the quote. Click on Start Quote. You've got three options. You've got income protection, managed life, real life. I'm here to talk to you about income protection. So click on the keys. And this is stuff that you guys probably do in your sleep, right? So, you know, whacking the client's details, all the similar questions that you're used to putting in there. By the way, something that isn't especially obvious here, on where it says select your client's waiting period, you can do split deferred period quotes here as well. So at the bottom, I can't obviously do it because it's not real time, but if you click on that drop down box, it will give you all the deferred periods, and then it will also say split deferred as well. And then you can do a split deferred quote from there, which is obviously very helpful, especially for people like teachers and whatnot. So when you've run your quote, you'll be presented with a number of options, and Income One has more options than Pure Protection, don't forget, because on that plan you have the level guaranteed option, which you don't get on Pure Protection, remember. So in theory, you've got 9 options, so which might look a little bit daunting initially, but if you think about it, that's because you've got 3 claim periods and 3 premium types to choose from. So as you can see here, you can see age costed reviewable coming in a little bit. As you can see, it's only a little bit cheaper than age costed guaranteed. Age costed guaranteed a little bit more, but you get that rate table guaranteed and locked in. Level guaranteed is obviously coming out more, but that's because there are no age-related increases. So I always end up having this conversation with financial advisors about age costed versus level guaranteed, and it really boils down to, I guess, to the client's appetite and also their current age. As you can see on this occasion, the client is relatively young. They're only 39 years of age. So the gap between age costed guaranteed and level guaranteed is going to be relatively substantial. So it's going to probably take a fair few years for that £17.50. If you look at age costed guaranteed there for the 2-year, you can see it's £17.50. Look at the equivalent for level guaranteed, it's £30.36. So, I mean, we can't access the PDF, but I bet you if we were to open up that PDF and scroll down to page 3 and look at the table for age costed guaranteed, it will probably take a fair few years for that to overtake level guaranteed. So a lot of people do obviously naturally kind of lean towards level guaranteed, but age costed has its place, especially in the guaranteed. So bottom line is we give you guys plenty of options. By the way, you can see those yellow circles. That's there in case you do want to index link the quote as well with the retail price index. So that will knock the premium up by a little bit, usually £2 or £3. Could be more, it just depends on the age of the client, of course, and whatnot. So here's Pure Protection. So you've only got 6 options because you don't have level guaranteed. You've only got the 2 variations of age costed, but again, it's very straightforward stuff. Underwriting. So we have heavily invested in underwriters. We're a growing company. We're doing very, very well, and with that comes more demand in terms of inbound volume. Businesses coming in. We need to make sure that our exceptional service levels are maintained, and by one way of doing this, of course, is to employ more people, especially underwriters. Don't forget, the Exeter, we've been doing this for a long, long time, but we have just one office, just in Exeter, and that enables us to run a really tight ship. So you're able to do stuff with the Exeter that perhaps you're not able to do with the big boys. The big boys are a little bit more spread, aren't they? So, for example, what you can do with us is you can ring straight through to me or one of your BDMs, depending on where you live in the country, and they can put you straight through to an actual underwriter. So if you've got an income protection pre-sales query, a medical query, you can speak to an underwriter straight away. Or you can speak to your BDM who can speak to them on your behalf. And if need be, we can, maybe try and get a good decision for you, perhaps. When you're doing the online application, you can also delegate the application to your client. So you can fill in part of it. And if you think, actually, I don't know the answer to these questions, or it's sensitive for whatever reason, there's a button at the top of the page that says delegate to client. You can delegate that application to the client, they can finish it off, and they can get sent then to the underwriting. Of course, what we want to do is make the application journey for you guys as easy as possible. So we're really, we're really keen on making sure that that straight through processing is at the very top. We want really essentially business to go on risk automatically for you guys, and that we have a high percentage of achievement in regards to that as well. If you do get exclusions placed on your client's income protection policy, then there are options potentially for them to be reviewed. So again, this is why it's good to stay close to your BDM and find out who that is, because we can fight your corner if need be. But essentially, we do offer review dates anywhere up to 5 years, so 1 year, 2 years, etc., all the way up to 5 years. So we are lenient. I'd say we're lenient in terms of our underwriting generally. Even on the income protection, of course. Not that, just to throw you a little teaser here, we have life insurance which is designed for hard to cover clients. So that just gives you an idea of kind of our ethos here at the Exeter. But income protection specifically, going back to that, I feel that our underwriting is very, very good and very competitive, and that is also reflected in the loadings that we offer. So we stay very close to our reinsurers to ensure that loadings are fair, basically. So this is all stuff you're going to experience naturally. Again, I think a lot of this is making sure that you speak to your BDM, ring in after, find out who your BDM is, and it's good to have them in the pocket, essentially. So back there, just continuing on from underwriting, here's a few of the good reasons as to why it's very, very good. We've recently, not long ago, we extended cover to include type 2 diabetics. So how good is that? I mean, that's something that, I've been here at the Exeter for 11 years. And, to think of this 10 years ago, I would have said never. We'll never do that. But, we've recently said that this is okay. So it just goes to show the kind of the direction that we're heading in. Again, just going back to making it easy for you guys, in terms of trying to get it through, trying to get the application straight through. We have waived all medical, for anybody under the age of 42, all automatic medical evidence is waived. So essentially, basically, if you look at financial limits, and you look at the Exeter as a business, we have obviously thresholds. If your client is going for 10 grand a month compared to somebody else who's going for 2 grand a month cover, then obviously we're going to be a little bit more nervous about the person who's applying for 10 grand. But what we've done is we've actually said for anybody under the age of 42, we're going to totally waive off automatic limits. So what this basically means is it doesn't matter. You've got a 41-year-old and they want 10 grand a month, the maximum amount of benefit. Providing they've got a clean medical history, we'll let them go straight through. So that is a little bit nutty, but that's what we're about. We're about making it easy for you guys. Of course, just bearing in mind, if he had medical history, if you had something wrong with him, then we may need to go for a GPR in relation to that. But we're not going to go for a GPR just based on the fact that he's after 10 grand a month. Providing he's under the age of 42 and he's got a clean bill of health, then happy days. So body mass index, BMI, we have set people up to a BMI of 44, which I feel is really, really generous. And we don't exclude many people. I said it near the beginning of this webinar, we are renowned for not only taking on occupations that other providers sometimes might not touch, but it's one rate for all occupations. So we only really exclude a small amount of occupations, for example, bouncers or the police or soldiers, common sense stuff, right? Claims. So I like getting down to the old nitty gritty. So 91% of income protection claims were paid in 2017. Again, I've been here forever, it seems. It's always been in the 90s. We consistently, one thing I've noticed over the last 10, 11 years is that we've always consistent. It's always been consistent. 91, 92, 93. So it's always good to kind of mention that to the clients. We're a company that have been around for a long time. We're financially strong. We pay claims. That's what we're here to do. You can see there the other statistics. I'm not going to read them to you. You can see them there. It just goes to show, though, that, again, we're not afraid to pay claims. By the way, Again, if you want a copy of these slides, feel free to ring in and we can email the slides across along with useful PDFs, and we can also discuss the protection path in a bit more detail regarding getting those flyers, leaflets, those sales aids personalized for you. So again, a little bit more here, just about claims. So we're all about speed. That's what we're able to do here at the Exeter. Unlike some of our bigger, more clunky corporate kind of competitors, the Exeter are renowned for service and speed. So this is reflected in the medical evidence. We've streamlined medical evidence, so it removes unnecessary delays. We have linked claims, basically. So any reoccurrence of same injury within 6 months, we would actually waive the waiting period, so your client would not have to go through the third period again. So I think that's really cool. And we work with the client. In the event that your client cannot work, most of them actually want to go back to work, right? No one wants to watch, well, Jeremy Kyle isn't on the TV anymore, is it? But nobody really wants to be sat around and not earning, especially if you're self-employed and not earning money. So we actually work with the client to get them back. So even if that means putting them on reduced duties, we can do that. We can pay a proportionate amount of the benefit, and just to kind of ease them back into it. So every claim is different. That's what my colleagues in the claims team will say, but they work hard, and that's reflected in the claims, and obviously many happy clients who return back to work after being paid. It says no Q&A, but clearly there aren't going to be any because this is a pre-recorded webinar. Moving on. So here we go, contact details. So what I would recommend you do is you ring up the sales team. So that number is 0300 123 3207. You can email them there on that email address, but it might just be worth picking up the phone and speaking to the guy on the other end of the phone and finding out who your BDM is. I could reel them off now, but I don't want to bore you too much in that respect. So depending on where you live in the country, that will dictate who your BDM is. And then again, they can stay in close contact and help you, not only kind of embed these USPs in a bit more, but potentially help you, get more people interested in income protection through the protection path. So you've got the number there for sales. If you have any other queries regarding commission, post sales, so after you've submitted the business, if it's in the pipeline, or agency, then it's the new business team that you want to talk to. So this is a really good number to have. So 0300 123 3203. You might need to, I think the email address is quite important, because obviously if it's a commission query or an agency query, it's just sometimes easier to get it across in an email, right? So it's advisor, it doesn't have to be capital, advisor at the-exeter.com. So and those guys work their tail off as well, so we can make life a lot easier for you guys. So basically, here's what we can do just to finish off. Hopefully you found this webinar interesting and it gave you you took note of some of the USPs. But if you want to discuss this in more detail through a face-to-face meeting, or if you want a personalized, if you want more of a interactive one-to-one webinar, so we can bounce back and it can go on a little bit longer maybe, then we can do that as well. If you want us to ring you, or if you want information via email, then again, just feel free to drop us a line or give us a call. Anyway, my voice is going to run out soon, so I'll leave it at that. But thank you very much for listening to the webinar. My name is Mark Crossley-May, and have a good day. Alrighty, thanks.